Hi, in this video we're gonna see chapter 3, probability distribution. Okay, alright, so before we begin, there are certain words that you need to be familiar with or need to know in order to proceed with probability distribution lah. So probability distribution, we have three. So first one is binomial, we call it B. Then we have Poisson, and then we have the normal. Okay, so in order to familiarize, we will start with binomial first. So these are the wordings that need to be familiarized with. If it's at most 12 or less, or not more than 12, so it should be below than 12 or equivalent to 12. So this is the amount lah. If it's not more than 13, so it will be 13. Need to be familiar with the wording and the symbol itself. At least 12 or more, not less than 12. So not less than 12 should be it is equivalent to 12 or more than 12. So larger than 12, so it's not equivalent to 12. Okay, exactly 12 it means equivalent. Below 12 it means it should be lower than 12. Between 9 to 12, so it's above 9 but equivalent to 12. From 9 to 12, it's from 9, it can be equivalent to 9 and equivalent to 12. Between 9 and 12, it's not 9, it's not 12. From 9 to 12, it's 9 but not 12. So these are the wordings that you need to be familiarized with. Okay, then what is binomial theorem? Binomial distribution. In order to be familiarized with a binomial distribution, you need to be familiarized with this equation. Okay, so we write it as NP. Then we have this set of stuff. NP So in order to find the mean value, we just take the n and times it with p. So for the variance, we just do it as npq, and standard deviation, we just square root the npq. Okay, now what is p? So p could be the success rate nor the failure rate, depending on the question. So if the question said there are 100 students and a majority of students are failing, and the A, B, C are talking about 20 student failing, 30 student failing, then the P for our case here is fail and Q is not fail. So P is the target element of the question and Q is the not targeted value. So P should be the success rate, or what we call as the what is needed for the question. Okay, so for example, if we see example from the example slide that we have, in this case we have any case. Okay, so in this case, the probability that a board purchased by a cabinet manufacturer is unusable. So can we copy this? Okay, so in this case, it's telling us unusable. Now the following question are unusable. So our case here is telling that P for us is unusable and Q is usable. Okay, so this is how we find. And n is 11 board. Okay, so we will write that as x into b, 11 and 0.1. So the remaining Okay, so in this case n is 11, p is 0.1, q will be 0.9, and x is depending on the question, 4 or more, at most of 2, and 0. Okay, alright, now back to our notes. So n is the value, the total value from the question, x is the targeted value, p is the targeted probability, q is the failure, the untargeted probability. Okay, so this is the binomial distribution. Now we'll focus on the Poisson distribution. Okay, for Poisson, it's quite easier, but you need a calculator for it. So having a calculator is a must. And we will write it as PO, and the mean value is equivalent to this, and the variance is equivalent to this, and this is equivalent to NP. This is called the Poisson probability. Okay, so for the Poisson probability, we have the mean value, which is the lambda, which is equivalent to the variance. In order to find the mean value, if the question doesn't give any, we could just have the total stuff times with the probability or the pass. So this is E, you type it from the calculator, then we should have negative here, then we have our lambda value, then lambda with the power of the x, and x with the calculator function to input that equation. Okay, now for example, in this question, and okay, nice. Suppose that the number of cars arriving in a 15-minute period, time is 10, final probability exact 5. Okay, so here we know that our lambda is 10. Alright, now the mean is 10, mean average, everything is same, so it's 10, and then our x is 5. Okay, now if we plug in, we will see that it's negative 10, and then this is our x, and this is our x, so this is the answer. And if you noticed, this is how we write, and we have the exact writing method shown here. Okay, now for an instance, another example would be this. Okay, so we'll try to do this. This question is a bit tricky. Okay, 48 per hour, so we get 48 calls in 60 minutes. Okay, so we know that 48 by 60 is 4 per 5 calls in a minute. Okay, now find the probability of receiving 32 calls. So our x is 32. Now we need to know the mean. They mentioned that in an hour, so the mean for in an hour is 48. Okay, our lambda is 48 and our x is 32 in this case, so we just plug in that e negative 48 and 48 power of 32 this, so we will get, sorry, I can't show the calculator now. You'll get 3.2, sorry, you'll get 3.28 times 10 3, which is the answer. Okay, you'll get 3.4 similar. Now, sorry, I get 3.41 times 10 3. Now, in a 5-minute interval, so 5-minute interval means we know that 4 per 5 in a minute. Okay, so the mean for 5 minute would be mean for 5 minute would be 4 over 5 times 5 will get 4. Now they said 3 calls, so 3 is our x. So e negative 4 times 4 3. This is how we need to calculate. We need to understand the question first before we proceed with the calculation. So the answer would be 0.19 blah blah blah. Okay, 10 calls, x is 10 in 15 minutes. So the lambda would be 4 over 5 times by 15 will get 4 3 12. Okay, so our equation would be e negative 12 times by 12 and the x is 10 10. So we'll get this answer. You need to understand the question so that you can solve the stuffs. Okay, the next example would be for this. Now the final part is called as the normal distribution. Okay, normal distribution. So normal distribution would be as such, where the mean is ex is equivalent to this, and then we have the variance, and then we have the standard deviation, okay, then we have this little guy. So this is the value determining question, and this is our value of z-score. Then in order to find the z-score, this is the equation. Okay, so this would be fine. Now we'll see the example. For this example, the Edwards data chain, so we'll just keep the mean is 411. Okay, so the mean is 411. We know that mean is 411. Then the standard deviation is 137. Okay, but if you notice, the way we write it is equivalent to as in this. It should be needed in variance. So 4.11 and the standard deviation power of 2 cubed. Sorry, it's not cube, it's squared. So it's same. Okay, you need the power 2, power 2, power 2. Now for the next one, okay, this is how we find the z-score. If it says it's more than 0.3, it means it's in this direction. If it's less than 1.03, it's in this direction. And if it's mean, it's less than 0.2 and it's more than 0.51, it means 0.02 is located somewhere here. Okay, and then negative 0.51 is located somewhere here. So this is our region to be found. Alright, now we need to find that z is less than 0. or we just find that z is less than 0.02 and then z is more than 0.51. We'll get this z is less than 0.51, so we'll get this area with this area. We substitute this with this, so we'll have the balanced region here. For an example, they have shown here. Okay, so in this case we take the big Z as the Z score. We know that Z is smaller than this 0.02. okay, so this is the region covered. Now we take this Z is less than 0.51 here. So when we take this region minus with this region, we will have the balance section of this. So this is the answer. No need to be confused, you just need to understand the shaded region. So once you understand the shaded region, it is easier for you to calculate it. Now the next would be example this is to find the score. Okay, so in order to find the probability, okay, we know that the equation is written as x minus u over the standard deviation. So this is the standard deviation, this is the mean, and this is the score. So in this case 350 minus 500 the mean, and 100 the standard deviation. So you'll get this, and you just need to refer the table. Okay, so z is less than 1.5, so this is the area covered. Okay, now so this is the final answer. According to the final answer, so we have this, then we need to refer back to the table to get the z score. So sorry, to get the amount. So this is referring to the table. So once you got the table, you just need to do the reverse engineering stuff and you'll get the value. Okay, now the final piece of the puzzle. Okay, we have the continuous correction factor. As shown above, you need to understand the certain words to be familiarized with the probability. You also need to understand this key factor. If it's same, more than or equivalent, less than or equivalent, less than, more than or equivalent, more than. So we will be using this 0.5 correction to get the answers. For an example, in this specific question, we know that in a certain country 45% are male. Okay, if 300, the n is 300, at least 155, they say at least. Okay, so it's at least, you need to be familiarized with the code here, at least. Now if we take the binomial distribution, we know that this is our n and this is our p. Okay, and another thing is the rule is set that n should be more or equivalent to 30 and np should be more equivalent to 5, where nq is same, where the lambda should be more than 10. Okay, now in this case we check that the n is more than 30 and the np is more than 5, the nq is also more than 5. Now we are getting the variance as thus. Okay, so we take the specific, they say at least, so at least could be more than or equivalent to 155. When we are referring to the given matrix here, we need to minus 0.5. So the rule is we are minusing 0.5 and we will get 154 using the same mean, and then we are getting the x minus with the mean 135 and the variance. Okay, so variance is 74, standard deviation would be, right? So another example is average means it's lambda per hour. Now they are saying that more than 30, 8 a.m. to 5, so per hour is 5, it's 45, it's 9 hour, so 9 hour times by 5 is equivalent to 45. Our lambda is 45, so it's more than 10. Check. So our mean is 45 and our this should be normal distribution. Yeah, mean and standard deviation is the same, 45 and 45. They said more than 30 customer, so we have more than plus with 0.5. They did plus with 0.5, so this is the answer. So x is 30.5, our mean is 45, and we know that if standard deviation is 45, if the variance is 45, our standard deviation would be square root of 45. So these are the main part for chapter 3, probability distribution. Okay, thank you.